Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad-gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Chapter 2, Text 64. Raga, Dvesha, Vimuktai, Tu, Vishayan, Indriyai, Charan, Atma, Vashyahi, Vidheya, Atma, Prasadam, Adhigachati. Ragadvesha vimuktais-tu Vishayan indriyais-charan Atma vashyair vidheyatma Prasadam adhigachati. Ragadvesha vimuktais-tu Vishayan indriyais-charan Atma vashyair vidheyatma Prasadam adhigachati.
Ragadvesha vimuktais-tu Vishayan indriyais-charan Atma vashyair vidheyatma Prasadam adhigachati.
Ragadvesha vimuktais-tu Vishayan indriyais-charan Atma vashyair vidheyatma Prasadam adhigachati. Raga, attachment. Dvesha, and detachment. Vimuktai, by one who has become free from. Tu, but. Vishayan, sense objects. Indriyai, by the senses. Charan, acting upon. Atma, Vashyahi, under one's control. Vidheya, Atma, one who follows regulated freedom. Prasadam, the mercy of the Lord. Adhigachati, attains. But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. Purport. It is already explained that one may externally control the senses by some artificial process, But unless the senses are engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is every chance of a fall. Although the person in full Krishna consciousness may apparently be on the sensual plane, because of his being Krishna conscious, he has no attachment to sensual activities. The Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and what else? And nothing else. Therefore, he is transcendental to all attachment and detachment. If Krishna wants, the devotee can do anything which is ordinarily undesirable. And if Krishna does not want, he shall not do that which he would have ordinarily done for his own satisfaction. Therefore, to act or not to act is within his control, because he acts only under the direction of Krishna. This consciousness is the causeless mercy of the Lord, which the devotee can achieve in spite of his being too attached, in spite of his being attached, to the sensual platform. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Nama Shreshtam Manamapi Shachiputramatra Surupam Rupam Tasyagrajamurupurin Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Ataf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagarna Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada here writes about the regulative principles of freedom, with the idea that by following the regulative principles of the varnashram system or in a yoga system, beginning with yama and niyama, moral rules, and specific rules, moral principles and specific rules, that one can become free from the syndrome which Krishna has just described. What syndrome has Krishna just described in 2 verses? Dhyato vishaya pungsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho bijayate krodhad bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vibhramaha buddhin smriti brangshad buddhi nasho buddhi nashat pranashyati. So one can be free from all of this. This all begins with contemplating the sense objects. And then from that, attachment arises from then as one engages in sense gratification, then anger, frustration arise, and one becomes bewildered. Intelligence is the memory or the very what I'm supposed to be doing, one forgets that altogether, one's intelligence becomes spoiled and one falls down into the material pool. Prabhupada uses that term, that's still there. Material pool, yeah. So one can be free from this by following rules and regulations. Now, there is a vector of philosophy in the Western world that seems to be particularly strong. That this became prominent during the hippie era, the 1960s. Became pronounced. It was enunciated as a philosophy of sorts by French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre, and it manifested itself in the hippie era with slogans like "Be here now. If it feels good, do it." The idea: don't follow any rules. Just be free. Do what you like. All these rules are restrictive. Of course, if we're talking about the Western world, we're not talking about the rules of no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. But, well, specifically the hippie era they were celebrating free sex, that you don't have to be married to have sex, and you can do it wherever you like, whenever you like. You always like to do it, so why not do it? Why not indulge? And they will ridicule people that why are you following all these strict rules? Someone who's not a hippie they would call a straight. You know, you shouldn't be straight. You shouldn't follow all these things, but you should be real, be yourself. Even among devotees, sometimes we hear, or supposed to be devotees, we say, what is all this? You're being a strict brahmachari or chaste woman. What is all this? Just admit it. In your heart there are so many desires. Why pretend to be strict brahmachari or a chaste woman or a responsible householder? Just admit it. You've got so many desires in your heart. You should indulge. Oh, Freud also, of course. Derived from Freud's ideas. That repression of the libido, I believe he made that word up. It means the sexual impulse, or he took it from Greek. That is the cause of so many psychological disturbances. So better just indulge in it. Be free. Don't be unintelligent and waste your life. You only live once, so you might as well enjoy it. So this discussion, we can see it's following on the theme that we discussed yesterday, Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam Tasyang Jagarati Sangyami. That it's a completely different outlook to that of transcendentalists. Transcendentalists, they are vidheyatma. They follow rules and regulations with the idea of atmavash. They want to bring the self under control. Whereas the aim of the super gross materialists is why control anything? Just follow your impulses. Which is as Srila Prabhupada pointed out when discussing Freud, that is it's not really a philosophy, it's just being like an animal, that's all, because an animal does that. An animal just follows his impulses, unless restrained from doing so. A common scene you'll see at the bazaar in any town in India. with the fruit stall and the vegetable stall, the seller has a stick to keep the cows away, because otherwise the cows will come and eat everything. But they won't eat if they're just given a tap with a stick, or the stick is shown. And it's an ongoing competition between the stall owners and the cows, and then they give them a bit of a sharp hit, and then they'll go on to the next one, and this way they wander around in the bazaar. So they don't have any sense that it's wrong to do it. And if a cow steals a cauliflower from then they'll just think that it's the stall owner's bad luck. That's all. The stall owner wouldn't complain to the police. He's a thief, any such thing. So this idea that you just be free, it's animalistic. But here we see that, although I don't see it in the sense which Srila Prabhupada writes about the regulative principles of freedom. He uses the word freedom. That means by following the regulative principles of spiritual life, no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication, don't do this, don't do that. So you're not free, but that gives freedom. That gives freedom from our lower impulses, which bind us in this material world. So if we voluntarily agree to accept rules and regulations which are given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Shastra and conveyed to us and taught to us by the Acharyas, then we become free from repeated birth and death. That's the idea. So it's not intelligent to not follow this. An intelligent person will follow this. This idea, be yourself, that's another popular song. Be yourself. But first of all, you have to understand, who is myself? I am not this body. I am not this mind. I am not the ego that I think I am. I am an eternal servant of Krishna. So instead of trying to express myself, that's another term. You have to express yourself. Express literally means to just like press. You press something and it comes out. So express means what's inside comes out. Like you express juice from a lemon. But if we look inside, from the devotee's point of view, most of what's there isn't very good at all. We want to press it in and finish it. Compress it until it becomes nothing. Of course, if we just compress it, it might just too much pressure and then it explodes. So it has to be done carefully, scientific process. We're dealing with something very powerful here. The ego has to be handled very delicately. So it's not just a matter of following rules and regulations, but it has to be done under guidance to be fully successful. But it gives freedom. Freedom from our lower nature. And that means freedom from birth and death. Then we can really be ourself. Our real self is the servant of Krishna. Jivesharupoi Krishna Nityadas. Now in the beginning, we may not stress so much on rules and regulations when people are coming to Krishna consciousness, because it might seem abhorrent to them or too difficult to follow so many rules and regulations in the beginning. Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna niveshyat. This somehow or other bring the mind to Krishna. So this is often quoted by devotees who have the idea we should be very liberal in our preaching. We should be. But there comes a point when we have to think of the second part of this, which is sarva vidhi nishedaya etayar eva kinkara. That all the rules and regulations are servants of this statement or this understanding, that the mind has to be brought to Krishna. That means that there are rules and regulations. Srila Prabhupada explained this, that in the beginning we somehow or other bring people to Krishna consciousness, attract them, and then bring all the rules and regulations later. Not that somehow or other bring people to Krishna. Somehow or other they're chanting Hare Krishna, but they're not following any principles. Well, that's good. Yeah, it's better than not chanting Krishna, maybe. But for the real perfection that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give, then one has to actually become very serious and practice Krishna consciousness very seriously. So it's good to bring people to Krishna consciousness somehow or other, but don't forget the second part. Bring them in and bring them up and bring them out of the material world. Without rules and regulations, if we say, well, we just want everyone to be happy in Krishna consciousness, well, we should know that happiness comes from surrendering to Krishna, not from... Well, we may have the idea, well, kirtan makes us happy, so let's have lots of kirtan, don't stress on the rules and regulations. We like kirtan and we like prasadam, so let's just have that. But even to have prasadam actually offered in a manner that Krishna likes to accept it, then we have to be serious devotees. There's that prayatat manaha, that word is there in the Patram Pushpam verse, which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur glosses as following all the proper rules and regulations. Without that, if we have so-called Krishna consciousness, everything will degenerate and it'll be like an upper sampradaya. What's wrong with these upper sampradayas? They chant Hare Krishna, some of them make up their own mantras and chant them instead. But the Krishna, we talk about the upper sampradayas, we're talking about deviations from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's strict line. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, consciousness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there. What's wrong with them is that they have introduced ideas for their own sense gratification. And then it degenerates. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, prema pumarto mahan, that the great goal of life is Krishna prema, but that's all on the basis of vairagya vidya. Vairagya vidya nija bhakti yogam shikshartam eka purusha purana. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripam Buddhe Yastamaham Prapadde. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an ocean of mercy, Kripam Buddhi. And he comes to teach devotional service to himself, which is founded on knowledge and detachment. Vairagya comes from sense of vairagya comes from knowledge, and that is practiced by following rules and regulations. Srila Prabhupada wrote that the great edifice of pure love of Krishna that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to bring, that will be founded, the foundation of that is the teachings of Bhagavad-gita. We may wonder why Srila Prabhupada emphasized so much on Bhagavad-gita, which is, he himself said many times, it's introductory, A, B, C, D. And the goal of life is pure love of Krishna. Krishna in Vrindavan with the gopis. But Srila Prabhupada, he said that this is the foundation for all of this. One has to start at the beginning and go up. So we want to reach that highest level. We want others to reach that also. There's a process of advancement which we have to follow. So often devotees ask, well, how can we advance in Krishna consciousness? And of course that question was often asked to Srila Prabhupada also. And his standard reply was, follow the rules and regulations. Even when devotees, they didn't ask that, they'd write him about something else, he would, in so many letters, must be in hundreds of letters, he wrote, be sure to follow all the rules and regulations, the 4 regulated principles, rise early, associate with devotees, chant 16 rounds. Again and again and again and again he emphasized the same point, which nowadays we don't find that emphasis is there so much. And yeah, as I gave that talk a few days ago on not following vows, that most devotees, even if they follow the 4 regulated principles just about, but so many other rules they don't follow. Just like we find in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vishayer onna kaile malin hoy man. By eating food of non-devotees, the mind becomes contaminated. Man malin hoyle nahe Krishna smaran. And if the mind is contaminated, one cannot think of Krishna. But it's become a very ordinary thing to, among our devotees, just to buy some food and eat it. Just some kami food. And so not following all this. So we should follow the rules that are given by the acharyas to help us advance in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, Krishna consciousness being a science, we won't have the desired result. We can have big buildings, big organization, big preaching, big everything. It's something like building a chemical factory for, let's say for, or building an oil refinery, but not bringing any oil. Or building a chemical factory and not bringing oil, because generally the chemical factory, well, there are different kinds of, but say you want to make polymers or fertilizer, so many things. So all the arrangement is there, but the science, it doesn't work because it's a scientific process. And if we don't, someone may come up with a great idea. Let's save India billions of dollars. You see, instead of importing all this oil from Kuwait and Iran and Saudi Arabia and all these places, it's quite thick and black and liquidy. So why don't we just collect everyone's stool and put some black color in and mix it with some water. It's thick and it's black and it's liquidy. Well, you might be able to make fertilizer out of that, pretty good fertilizer. But you won't be able to make polymers out of it, for instance. It doesn't work. The science doesn't work. Or unless you follow it exactly. And actually in a chemical factory, it requires properly trained chemical engineers. Because instead of producing fertilizers, you might just blow everything up. Fertilizers can make quite good explosives if you know what you're doing, or if you don't know what you're doing. You have to be very careful. On the other hand, Krishna consciousness is not all about rules and regulations, and everything cannot be reduced to formulae. some degree of spontaneity is required also. Srila Prabhupada, he showed how to dance in Krishna consciousness, but it's not that it has to be exactly choreographed, and then when someone sing Hare Krishna, and then when all the followers sing Hare Krishna, then they put their arms in the air, and then at the end they put it down again. And at this point, you start to do this, and you start to do... Srila Prabhupada also didn't like wild, crazy dancing, but he didn't make it such a choreographed thing. Or you may think, how to give a class. You see, what you do is, you read the verse, then you smile at everyone, tell a slok, tell a joke, give an analogy, summarize it all up at the end. Srila Prabhupada never said any such thing. He himself, he didn't prepare classes, he just sat down and spoke. Once a devotee asked him about preparing classes, and Srila Prabhupada said, yes, you can do. But better is, at any time you should be ready to speak about Krishna. The point is to please Krishna. Everything should be to please Krishna. So we may learn how to speak by attending some, what do they call that, speech classes? Toastmaster, no. You can learn how to give a speech. I can't remember. There's some term. Maybe I forgot it. How to make presentations. And you can become very professional in doing that. Or you can drill the devotees how to give class. Actually, this is there in Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava. Bharati Maharaj, he was giving classes to the brahmacharis on how to give class, because he was known as a good speaker, and he was teaching brahmacharis. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, stop this. Don't do this. How do we give a class? We hear and we repeat. Bharati Maharaj was, he was the type that he could capture the attention of the audience. He'd speak in a big loud voice, and he was a charismatic speaker. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati didn't want him to give classes on how to give classes. The essence is to please Krishna. If we miss that, we miss everything. We can speak, and it can be just wonderful. How wonderful! Make sure to use the word wonderful at least 20 times in your class. And beautiful, and very nicely structured, so everything goes very well. It's perfect presentation. The only thing is, the main thing you forgot, that it's all meant to please Krishna. If we miss that, we miss everything. So rules, okay, but we should understand what is the essence, or understand what is important. Sometimes we see devotees, they don't follow even the basic rules, but they become very anxious to follow some rules which none of our acharyas ever taught us to do, just like this Bhishma Panchaka. The last 5 days at the end of Kartik, and if you didn't follow Kartik, or you didn't follow any special rules in Kartik, and you didn't follow Chaturmas at all, you can just do the last 5 days and you get it all at once. One day you just take milk, another day you just take yoga, another day you take cow urine and something like that. Or I don't think devotees do that. Or you just take some raw food for once a day for 5 days. And become very anxious to follow. One time I was in Hyderabad, and it was Ekadashi. Oh no, it was during Chaturmas. And we were taking prasadam, and there was a preparation with eggplant being served. This was at 9 o'clock in the morning. And one devotee who hadn't been seen at that time, and until that time, in other words, he hadn't been in Mangalati, he hadn't been in Japapriya, he hadn't been in class. He arrives just at prasadam time and says, You're serving eggplant during Chaturmas, it's forbidden. Became very upset. This is nonsense. We should know what's pleasing to Krishna. What is for... I'm not saying don't follow Bhishma Panchaka, it's wrong to do so, but there should be some proper understanding that it's not that we follow Bhishma Panchaka and then we don't follow Kartik Vrata, or you'll get the same benefit, but if we're thinking in terms of what benefit I will get, we miss the whole point anyway, because devotees follow Kartik Vrata to please Krishna. Not for any personal or benefit outside of that. Just recently I was in one place and one disciple of mine, he was asked, we had a farm outside the city, and one devotee was called from the city, why don't you come? No, I'm following Bhishma Panchaka, and you won't be able to prepare it. He's asking me all the time, please come, please come. When I come, he doesn't come because he thinks he won't be able to follow Bhishma Panchaka. So for him, taking fruit or something rather than cooked food is more important than coming and hearing from his guru. So what's the point? He missed the whole point of Krishna consciousness. Rules, yeah, required, but a proper understanding. Neither niyam agraha, not accepting rules, just not being enthusiastic to follow rules, or niyam agraha, being over-enthusiastic for rules without understanding the point behind it. Actually, our sampradaya, it might seem very strict. In the Western countries, if anyone knows about our movement, they think it's a very austere movement, puritanical, very strict. They have all these rules. But actually, our sampradaya, compared to others, it's very liberal and not so many rules. Especially the sampradayas in which there's a lot of archan, which is Sri Vaishnava sampradaya. They have to follow so many rules if they're actually following. But nowadays, it's very difficult even to follow these rules. Traditionally, brahmanas would only take water from their own well at home. Not very easy to do that nowadays. Still in Udupi, you see that the Chandramoleshwar temple, there's a well right next to the temple, and the pujari, just before he goes inside to offer arati, he'll throw some water from the well over him. It's only for him to use. So they're trying to follow as well as they can. Very difficult to follow these things. We could suggest to our Sri Vaishnava friends that it's not a regulated principle. Believe it or not, they might think it is to drink coffee. We could tell them, actually, you'd be better off not taking it, because if we follow the principle of only taking food and drink offered to Krishna or Vishnu, then that doesn't come within it, because Krishna doesn't drink coffee. We could suggest to them that could enhance their devotional service and save them some money too. And then they could use that for the service of the Lord. Offer him some. If you stop drinking coffee, you might be able to afford real ghee to offer to the Lord, which is so expensive nowadays. Real, actual ghee, if you can get it at all. Yadi kotopi labhyate. How much is it? It must be going on 1,000 rupees almost now. More, 2,000. 2,500, if you can get it at all. Well, you'd have to be a big coffee drinker to to get to get enough money by stopping to drink coffee, to buy the ghee. Rules and regulations required to come to the platform of Krishna consciousness, especially in our sampradaya. We're aiming for Vrindavan, in which the special feature of Vrindavan is that Radha and Krishna break all the rules. They're free. They're not completely free because they're always trying to avoid getting caught. But they don't follow the most basic rule of human morality, and that is God. At least externally it appears like that. Of course, the highest morality is Krishna himself. But he doesn't appear like that to materialistic people or people who don't understand his position. We have in the Ramayana, Ramo Dharma Vigraha. Ram is the very form of Dharma. Therefore he's known as Maryada Purushottama, the Supreme Lord who teaches proper behavior. But Krishna, he's known as Prema Purushottama or Lila Purushottama. His love is on the platform beyond dharma, as it's generally understood. That is the highest dharma. That is prema dharma. But it's just as Rama, his arrows go completely straight to their target. So he's a very straight person. The hippies wouldn't like him. They like Krishna. They don't like straights. But love, as Rupa Goswami describes, aher iva gatiya premna swabhava kutilo bhavet. The movement of prema, it's by nature crooked, like the movement of a snake. A snake, when he goes from one place to another, knows he has some aim to go to a place, but you see his body doesn't go straight. He can't move unless his body becomes crooked. So Rupa Goswami gives that idea that it doesn't go straight. And with Krishna, you can never know what he's going to do next. Maybe he doesn't even know. It's always the Leela is always unfolding in unprecedented ways. It's always new, always unexpected. That is the charm of Krishna Leela. The charm of Rama Leela is that Ram is so dependable, predictable. He will defend dharma. He will fulfill his word. He won't go against dharma in any way. Predictable, establishes order within society. So that is very comforting and assuring. But Radha Krishna Leela is all spontaneous, spontaneity, beyond rules and regulations, and they're unpredictable. The only rule is that Krishna loves Radha. Radha loves Krishna, that's not a rule. Krishna sometimes appears to reject her, and not reject her, but to go to someone else, and she sometimes appears to reject him. But actually, it's all the land of prema. What does he do? Why does he do it? That's all according to his desire. He calls the gopis, and then he tells them, now you go home. Then why do we come? Oh, you came to see me, that's nice. Now you go home. They couldn't imagine. You're doing the Rasa Leela, It's the summit of all his past. He leaves. He can do what he likes. That's his freedom. He is free completely. That is the meaning of absolute. Swarat. He's not under any obligation. He can do whatever he likes. Of course, he's also premadhin. Aham bhakta paradhino nahi aswatandra nahi swatandra eva dvija. He says, I'm not, Krishna says, I'm not free. I'm under the control of my devotees. You thought I was independent? You got it wrong. You read that in the first verse of Bhagavatam. We're in the 9th canto now. we advanced a bit beyond that. In the first verse of Bhagavatam, Swarat, he's independent. But then when you get up to the 9th canto, in Durvasa Muni, Krishna tells him, no. I am, yeah, but when it comes to my devotees, then I just lose all my sense. I won't follow all the rules, just like they won't follow all the rules. They think what's pleasing to me. Just like Srila Prabhupada writes here in this purport. The Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. Therefore, he is transcendental to all attachment and detachment. If Krishna wants, the devotee can do anything which is ordinarily undesirable, and if Krishna does not want, he shall not do that which he would have ordinarily done for his own satisfaction. Therefore, to act or not to act is within his control, because he acts only under the direction of Krishna. So his mind is controlled. He thinks, I'll only do what Krishna wants. But a person who doesn't act under the direction of Krishna, or who doesn't act for Krishna's satisfaction, then he's under the control of the 6 senses, dragged here and there by the senses. So a devotee becomes free, but never as free as Krishna. He transfers his subordination from being subordinate to Krishna's illusory energy, and then he comes under the subordination of Krishna's internal energy. Mahatma anastu mang parata daiving prakritim ashritaha. The Mahatmas, the great devotees, they're under the shelter of Krishna's internal potency. Under the shelter means they accept subordination to. So one cannot act against the principles of Krishna consciousness and at the same time be Krishna conscious. It's not possible. Now, even the rules and regulations which are given in Shastra for neophyte devotees, which means pretty much all devotees in this world with few exceptions, they may be violated by devotees who are actually on the highest platform. Generally, they won't do so. In terms of rules, the basic principle to always think of Krishna, smaratavya satatam Vishnu, vismaratavya najatuchit. Devotee automatically does that, but he may violate some rules. If there's a necessity to do so, a higher purpose. For instance, a devotee might not chant 16 rounds on a particular day. Generally he will do, but he might not do if there's some emergency. And then everyone will listen to that and say, oh yeah, today was an emergency. And yesterday was an emergency. And probably tomorrow will also be an emergency. And this is cheating. Bringing in the cheating propensity. Therefore the rules and regulations are stressed so much. We'll be safe by following them. We shouldn't trust our own mind. We should trust the mind of Krishna who gave these rules. If we make an excuse not to follow, then there'll always be so many excuses. Then we won't follow, and then we won't get Krishna. So our motive or our motto is to surrender to Krishna. And then he can do whatever he likes. We are servants of Krishna. We don't know what he'll do. Aslishava padaratam pinashtumam adarshanam marmahatam karotuva. I'll surrender to you, and then I hope you embrace me, but maybe you'll kick me. Maybe you'll make me miserable by not showing yourself to me. But yatha tata vavidatha tu lampato mat prananatis tu saeva na paraha. Whatever you do, you're always my worshipable Lord, and no one else. It's you only. That is the determination of a devotee. We put ourselves under Krishna, and he can do whatever he likes with us. It may be difficult. We can't imagine being in the position of Prahlad or Ambarish. They didn't find it difficult. For them it was just natural to remain surrendered to Krishna. But for us, if we had such tests, we'd find it very, very difficult. We couldn't. Who among us could do what, or remain surrendered to Krishna in such, or even think of Krishna in such difficult circumstances? Srila Prabhupada said about Bali Maharaj that anyone else would have died if they were put through what Vamana put Bali through. So this is what we're getting ourselves into. We're getting ourselves into a situation that even if we do have everything that people desire, we're ready to give it up in a moment, like Bali Maharaj. We're praying daily that you totally mistreat me, still I'll stick with you. It's it requires great faith that ultimately Krishna will do everything for me. Not that the devotee thinks, what is my benefit, but he thinks, let me completely surrender. Actually, on the topmost platform, one doesn't think my benefit or any such thing, just only thinking how to please Krishna. And the rules and regulations of devotional service start to train us. Why are you following all of this? Someone will come to you, why are you following all of this? Why are you following, why is that? Krishna wants us to. I've accepted the position of a servant of Krishna. Now whatever he wants. Thy will, not mine, be done, Jesus famously said as he was the night before he was going to be tortured and crucified. He prayed to God, whatever you want, that's all right for me. So raga anuga bhakti, that is different to the level of Vaidhi bhakti, where rules and regulations are very important. In raga anuga bhakti, one follows in the footsteps of those who serve Krishna not exactly according to rules, but according to attachment. We have in this verse, raga dvesha vimuktaistu. That means material attachment. One should be free from, but then being very attached to Krishna. And we're to follow that, raga anuga, to become a follower of those who have great attachment for Krishna. But that doesn't mean that in the name of spontaneity or raga anuga bhakti, we just do whatever we like. We have to follow. Rupa Goswami, who gave us this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, who informed us this, ahariva gati premna swabhava kutirla bhavet, that pure love of Krishna moves like a snake, it's crooked. He also instructed us, taking from the Shastra, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhin Vina Aikantiki Hare Bhakti Utpate Yaiva Kalpate. One who does not follow all the rules and regulations given in Shastra, in the name of doing bhakti, their bhakti will simply be disturbed. Their so-called practice of bhakti will actually disturb the process of bhakti. So freedom, we can have freedom from attachment to this material world. Raga, dvesha. These two terms are often put together. It means attachment and attachment to that which I want and dislike of that which I do not want. So a devotee's only motive is to serve Krishna. And therefore he becomes free from attachment and aversion. The non-devotee transcendentalist goes through so much difficulty to try to overcome attachment to what he wants and aversion to that which he doesn't want. And devotee does it automatically by the simple principle Krishna arte akila cheshta. Everything for the pleasure of Krishna. Let us do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. By that simple determination, then automatically he becomes free from attachment for anything that I want and detachment from anything that I don't want. Hare Krishna. Any question about this, please? Yeah, please give the mic to Gopala Acharya Prabhu.
Srila Prabhupada said that for some people we should only give prasadam and chanting.
For some people there should only be prasadam and chanting.
Not really philosophy.
Yeah, he said, for instance, when he was in Amsterdam and he was brought to a program with a park full of intoxicated hippies, Prabhupada said, for them, chanting and prasadam, no philosophy. But that doesn't mean that they should remain on that platform forever. You want to give that, that's what they can take at the present time. Just like for a sick man, right now he can only take kanji, this rice water. That's all he can take. So don't give him anything now. But when he gets more healthy, then you give him proper food. Right now, that will help him. But if you give him only that later, then he'll never get strong. So you give him the rice water now, that's all he can take right now. But as he gets better by taking that, then you can give him more nourishing food so he can become fully healthy. So in the same way, in the beginning there may be just chanting and prasad, but later one has to be trained. If anyone's going to actually come up, then they have to be trained and accept the process fully. Did that address your question, which you didn't get as far as asking because I interrupted you before you came to them?
Not fully. One part of the question is that when we see that some devotees, they really don't like to hear about rules and regulations. But
some devotees really don't like to hear about rules and regulations. Are they devotees? Why should they not like? If they're devotees, they should like to hear what Rupa Goswami gave us. I'm a devotee in ISKCON, in the Sampradaya of Rupa Goswami, but I hate his teachings. It's meaningless. When Srila Prabhupada, he was told, talking about some of his disciples, there's some devotees, they like to go to Radha Kund and just wonder. Prabhupada said they're not devotees. They just want to do whatever they like. Prabhupada said they're not devotees. What they wanted to do, go to Radha Kund, wander around Vrindavan. Prabhupada said they're not devotees. Well, you can say there's devotees at some level. They're not serious devotees. Srila Prabhupada said, don't think you can find Krishna hiding in a bush in Loi Bazaar. There are no bushes in Loi Bazaar, I don't think, but there would have been previously, before Loi Bazaar was built. But the point that, no, he said, don't think you can find Krishna in a bush in Vrindavan or loitering in Loi Bazaar. That's it, you got a bit mixed up. So, Krishna's not so cheap. Had personal experience of that, devotees? Perhaps in Ireland? Maybe. Maybe, yeah. You have personal experience how this kind of attitude just destroys any... When this attitude becomes widespread, then it destroys any possibility of preaching pure devotional service. They actually preach against the process of pure devotional service. And then they'll vote, when the referendum was there in Ireland, for or against abortion. They'll vote for it. They're so far away from even any moral principles. Srila Prabhupada also stated sometimes there are demons in the dress of devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.